The Supreme Lord said, "My dear friend, mighty-armed Arjuna, listen again to my supreme word, which I shall impart to you for your benefit, and which will give you great joy." And in the purport it says, the word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parasara Muni. Let's see, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, so the Bhagavad-Gita translation of it is a little bit different. We'll read that first, and then I'll explain why this alternate translation by Prabhupada in his lecture. And in the Bhagavad-Gita it says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty-armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." So up until the 10th chapter, Krishna has explained the difference between the body and the soul in an analytical way. And then he explained the difference between materialistically motivated activities and pure devotional service. And then it took several chapters to explain that fully. And then, so that was like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th chapters. In the 6 chapters, he explained different methods of meditation, and then he gave his opinion of which is the best yoga or process, and that is bhakti yoga in the 6th chapter, last verse, where he says, "Yoginam api sarve samadgatanam tiratmana shadavam bhajate yomam same yuktutamo matak." He says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, son of Prita, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either. It says, verse number 47, "And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all." That is my opinion. Then in the 7th and 8th chapter, he gives information of how to see him in the material energy. In other words, he gives knowledge of how he is present everywhere in the material world, and how to see him just by looking at nature. And then in the 8th chapter, he explains how to leave the body, and by meditating on him to reach the highest goal, that is liberation from the cycle of birth and death and going back to the spiritual world. And then the 9th chapter is most confidential knowledge, and he explains what is pure devotional service in more detail. So now when we come to the 10th chapter, Arjuna has heard all this, and now Krishna says he's going to give further knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. Very interesting point. So in the purport, he says, the word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parasara Muni, one who is full in 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. This is the meaning of the word Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parasara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord had already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion and firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations in various opulences. Well, Krishna is explaining how to see him. Not only in material nature, but in one's own heart. And he is giving so many indications that he's omnipresent. He's present everywhere, in every atom, in the heart of every living entity, and that he is the ultimate cause of all causes. Now it says here, the more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. So this is the essential point. It's extremely important that we should regularly, every morning and evening, hear about Krishna through Srimad Bhagavatam especially, and also Bhagavad-Gita, and in the association of devotees. What does that do? It enhances one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. So this is very interesting information. And then the next verse, it says, Na me vidu suragana prabhavan na maharsaya aham dirhidevanam maharsinam cha sarvasaha. Neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. And now the purport, Prabhupada, well, okay, in the first verse, there was the translation of the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, but the alternate translation that Prabhupada gave is very interesting in his lecture, given on December 30th, 1966. So I'm going to explain why there's an alternate translation. So in the Bhagavad Gita translation, the first verse is translated in this way. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. But however, Prabhupada says, the Supreme Lord said, my dear friend, mighty armed Arjuna, listen again to my supreme word, which I shall impart to you for your benefit, and which will give you great joy. Well, it seems like there's somewhat of a difference between the two translations, but actually there isn't. But there's a deeper dimension that's mentioned that Prabhupada reveals in the alternate translation. So he says, my dear friend, mighty armed Arjuna, listen again to my supreme word. In other words, the Krishna is speaking about himself. There's no other greater authority than that. Who knows Krishna better than himself? And who can explain himself better than himself? So here the Bhagavad Gita is called Shruti because it's God speaking about himself, prompted by Arjuna, who's asking him significant questions. Every significant question that one could imagine to clear the path of doubt so that one can engage wholeheartedly in Krishna's service. Arjuna asks very, very intelligent questions, and every question he asks is a quintessential question that clears the path of any doubt or hesitation one may have for surrendering to the Lord. So now, this alternate translation, it says that Krishna's word is supreme, because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he says, which I shall impart to you for your benefit, and which will give you great joy. Well, why does he say that? Because every living entity is suffering three kinds of, let's say, miseries. One is that we have birth, death, old age, and disease. And during life, oftentimes we meet or we encounter tragedies and difficulties. You can lose money, you can lose a loved one, you can lose a job, you can lose your health. So many things happen, and therefore there's lamentation. So that's number one scourge, or let's say trouble that people have. They're always lamenting something they've lost. And secondly, they are always seeking some kind of material benefit. And it's a struggle. It's always a struggle to get those material benefits. So, number one, they're lamenting for things they've lost. Number two, they're always struggling to make a living, to advance in their career, to develop a relationship. So many things. They're always struggling. And number three, they have the difficulty of having this deep frustration of not being able to achieve everything they want. So they're troubled by lamentation, struggling, and this deep-seated frustration. Now, some people have limited success, or some people seem to have great success, but even if people have great success, they're always struggling. And they never are able to reach all the goals that they want. And they lament for things that they have lost. So, by hearing Krishna's words, then it's beneficial and it gives one great joy. And they become free of this lamentation. They become free of the perennial struggle, and they become free of the frustration. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada explains, this verse we have been discussing already. Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is advising Arjuna that I am speaking to you again further, confidential part of knowledge. And why I am speaking to you? Because you are my dear friend. Well, there's qualification to become intimate with Krishna. And why did Krishna choose Arjuna to receive this knowledge and reinvigorate and reestablish the parampara system, which had been broken by the time of Krishna's appearance? Krishna appears whenever there's a serious disruption in spiritual life of the living entities. So the disciplic succession begun by Krishna speaking to Brahma millions of years ago, by the time of this Dwapara Yuga had been broken. So he chose Arjuna. Now, why did he choose Arjuna? There were many great sages present at that time. Well, he explains. He says, Bhaktosi me saka cheti rahasyam hitad uttamam. Because Arjuna is his friend, is his devotee, and later on he says also that Arjuna is not envious. So these are the qualifications that Arjuna had that made him, that he was the first choice of Krishna for reestablishing the continuity of the parampara system. Now, in the beginning of the Bhagavad-Gita, Prabhupada continues, in the 4th chapter, we have discussed this point that Bhagavad-Gita was specifically instructed to Arjuna for his only one qualification, that he was a devotee. Bhaktosi me saka rahasyam hitad uttamam. He's a friend and he's a devotee. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. That's verse in the 4th chapter. Let's see what verse that is. 4th chapter, verse number... chapter, verse number. What is it? Yeah, verse number 3. Saevayam mayatedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakacheti rahasyam itad uttamam. Okay, so the Lord said that the mystery of Bhagavad-Gita is very confidential. So without becoming a pure devotee or unalloyed devotee of mind or Krishna, it is very difficult to understand. So here we see that unless we become a pure devotee of the Lord, it's going to be difficult to understand the Lord's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. But becoming a pure devotee of the Lord is not as hard as one would think. It's only hard for people who are dishonest, but if one is honest, it's rather easy, and we're going to hear that now. So here, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada continues. In the market, you'll have so many commentaries of the Bhagavad Gita. In India, we have counted. There are about 645 different commentaries of the Bhagavad Gita. That is, 645 different translations with commentary. And he says, there's one Dr. Raleigh of Bombay. He has interpreted Bhagavad Gita as it talks between the patient and the medical practitioner. Yes, he has imposed on Krishna the appearance of a physician and Arjuna as a patient. And in his commentary, he has tried to, interpose all the meanings of anatomy, physiology, everything in his own imagination. So this is why, although there's 645 different translations and commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, not one person became a genuine devotee by reading any of those. It was only when Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita appeared in 1968, 69, that people who read it actually became devotees and became interested also to visit Krishna's Janmabhoomi, or the place where he engaged in his pastimes in Brindavan. Brindavan used to be a very obscure little town. It was a holy place. It had 5,000 temples, but those were mostly, there were some big temples, but most of them were very little temples in this little town. But after Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita came out, many, many people in the West began to read it and become devotees. And all of a sudden, now Vrindavan has grown unbelievably because so many people are visiting it, because they've been turned on to it by Prabhupada's books that have glorified Krishna and his pastimes in Vrindavan. So, Prabhupada did not do like Dr. Raleigh of Bombay by trying to impose on Krishna his own agenda. Prabhupada translated and wrote commentary on Bhagavad Gita and called it Bhagavad Gita as it is, yata rup. That means that he didn't give some imaginary interpretation of it. And that's why anyone who reads Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, as we are now, they're hearing exactly what Arjuna heard 5,000 years ago, and they come exactly to the same conclusion as Arjuna did 5,000 years ago. And that is, Arjuna said, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Sasvatam Divyam, Adidevam Ajam Vibhu. Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the supreme destination for all the devotees, you are completely pure, paramam bhavam, and you have a transcendental nature, purusham sasvatam divyam, you're a transcendental, eternal person, and Adidevam, you're the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajam, you're never born, and you're the greatest of all. So that's Arjuna's mature understanding, and that's in the 10th chapter, verse number 12 and 13. So, at the present moment, there are so many commentaries, and the people have taken that anyone can interpret in his own way. This is the modern view. Yeah, this, in other words, today they teach in schools and college that you can question anything and anyone, and there's no absolute truth. Everything is relative, and you have a right to interpret things according to your understanding. So this has completely bewildered most people by such false propaganda, and because of that, there is chaos today in people's lives. They don't have any moral compass. Not everybody, but many people have lost their moral compass and their ability to understand the truth, and they just speculate, or they accept the speculation of others. So this is the modern way of doing things, interpret in one's own way. So everyone is perfect, and he can interpret any scripture in his own way. This is the way people think, but that's not a fact. But so far we are concerned, we are not agreeable to that point of view. We agreed to read Bhagavad-Gita in terms of the instruction as it is given in the Bhagavad-Gita. The Bhagavad-Gita says that this knowledge has to be taken by the parampara system or the disciplic succession. It is not that anyone can interpret. This viewpoint, no bona fide student of Bhagavad-Gita only the bona fide students of Bhagavad Gita will accept this viewpoint. That is, that you must receive the Bhagavad Gita through the prism of the parampara system. Parampara system is the succession of disciples of Lord Krishna who have exactly repeated Krishna's words as they are without changing them. That's why today we have Bhagavad Gita as it is. Whatever Arjuna heard 5,000 years ago, that's what we're hearing now. And we don't have a right to add one word, subtract one word, or interpret anything with our own imperfect mind and senses. So this Bhagavad Gita is being taught by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to Arjuna. He says again the same thing. He's repeating that, Yat teham priyamanaya vakshyami hitakamyaya. So what he said previously in the 4th chapter, he's repeating again now in the 10th chapter. And he says, because you are my dear friend, I desire that you become prosperous, you become happy. Therefore, I'm speaking to you, my dear Arjuna. Now, we should not think that Krishna is not interested with others to make them happy and prosperous. He wants to make everybody happy and prosperous. He's equally disposed to all persons. He wants everyone to be happy and peaceful and prosperous. But they do not want it. Now, what does he mean here? What is Prabhupada saying? Huh? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, first of all, you have to believe it. If you believe it, then you can convince another person by your behavior and also by your words. So, but if you don't believe it, you can't you can't convince another person, neither by your behavior or by your words, right? So if we cross the bridge, then we can go back to the other side of the bridge and help someone else cross it. But we have to cross it first. Okay? So the way you learn Bhagavad Gita is to regularly, morning and evening, hear it from a bona fide person, and hear the bona fide Bhagavad Gita, which is Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, hear his words. So here we're reading his translation of the verse and his purport, and we're hearing his lecture, right? So once we get trained to hear Prabhupada on a regular basis and read Prabhupada's purports in Bhagavad Gita and then later on Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll become convinced. We'll become 100% convinced because he's presenting all the evidences. He's presenting all the knowledge that's necessary to become convinced. Just like Arjuna became convinced by hearing Krishna. So the same thing Arjuna is hearing 5,000 years ago, we're hearing today. All the questions he's asking, we're hearing the answers by Krishna. Right? We're hearing the questions and the answers. So, but here Prabhupada says that Krishna wants everyone to be happy, peaceful, and prosperous. But they do not want it. That is the difficulty. Now, why is it? They do not want it in this way, that through surrendering to Krishna. They don't want to surrender to Krishna. They don't want to accept Krishna, but they want to be happy, peaceful, and prosperous. Now, do you think it's possible without accepting Krishna? No, it's not possible. And they're trying, and they're not succeeding. But yet, if you say to them, look, here's the easy way to do it, and it's proven way, still they won't accept. You'll see as we go on in this lecture, Prabhupada says, every day, at least morning and evening, we should sit down like this and hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, how many people are actually doing that? We have class every morning, and we have class every night. How many people are actually attending? Hardly anybody. And these are initiated devotees. They don't feel the impulsion or the necessity to do it. So therefore, he says, he wants everyone to be happy, peaceful, and prosperous. But they do not want it. They want to keep struggling. They want to keep lamenting. And just like in India, you have what's called the ghazal. You know what a ghazal is? Yeah. Is it a happy song? No. It's all about lamentation, right? And when they sing, then sometimes people start crying when they hear it because it's so, it touches their heart, some nerve that they have experienced, and it expresses it. So where did this ghazal come from? Actually, it comes from the Muslims. It's not something that's in Hinduism, right? But they consider it entertainment, and they go to hear these ghazals, and someone is, having the flurry of different notes and going up and down and in minor notes, and people are, and the words, oh, I love someone very much and they rejected me, and now my heart is broken, and I have, the people, this is their entertainment, But this type of entertainment is only indicative of the disease. The disease is lamentation, struggle, and frustration. That's it. So that's why it says, although Krishna wants everyone to be happy, peaceful, and prosperous, they do not want it. That is the difficulty. Just like the sunshine is open to everyone, sunshine is not for any particular nation or particular country or particular person or particular community. It is open for everyone. But if somebody wants to remain in darkness, closing his doors and not come out, then what the poor sunshine can do for him. So if one does not want to see the sunshine cannot force him to see, right? So this Bhagavad Gita, the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, is open to everyone. Everyone. It's stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mam hi partavya pasritya yepisyu papayonaha Striya Vaisas Tata Sudras Tipiyanti Param Gatim. Bhagavad-Gita 9:32. O son of Prita, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas or merchants, as well as Sudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. Well, this verse is saying, it doesn't signal out women, all women, and Vaishyas are men, and Sudras are men, so you have men and women of lower birth, meaning they were born in families where they couldn't get maybe a good education, or a family that's struggling economically, or a family that, is deprived of certain things. But he's saying, by taking shelter of Krishna, even these people can attain the supreme destination, meaning go back to Godhead. So, this is a verse of hope, 9th chapter, 32nd verse. Anyone, never mind what he is, there are different kinds of species of life. Some of them are considered as lower, some of them are considered higher. That is our material conception. But actually, according to the different qualities, according to the different modes of nature, there are different situations, and there are lower grade, higher grade understanding also. There is also lower grade, higher grade understanding. That is a fact. But Krishna says that anyone, never mind what he or she is, Papayonaya. Papayonaya means those who are in the lower birth. So Bhagavad-Gita is transcendental subject matter. It does not depend on the qualification of student. Anyone can understand Bhagavad-Gita provided he or she agrees to understand according to the principles. What are those principles? They hear it through the parampara, the disciplic succession, the knowledge coming down from Krishna to Brahma to Vyasa, Krishna to Brahma to Narada to Vyasa, and so forth, all the way down to Srila Prabhupada and now to us, to hear it in this parampara system, so that you hear the original words of Krishna that have been repeated year after year, century after century, without being changed. So anyone can understand Bhagavad-Gita, provided he agrees to understand according to the principles, that's all. The principle is, evam parampara praptam imam raja sayo vidu, that one should accept this knowledge through the parampara. 4th chapter, 2nd verse. Evam parampara praptam imam raja sayo vidu, sakalena mahata yoganasta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Well, that's up until the time of Krishna. But now Krishna has chosen Arjuna because it's his friend, it's his devotee, and he's not envious of the Lord, to reinvigorate this disciplic succession, the Brahma, Gaudiya Vaishnava disciplic succession. This is stated in the 4th chapter, that this Bhagavad Gita is coming by disciplic succession from the sun god. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavam aham avyam. Moner itzvakave. So it's coming through Lord Krishna is speaking to the sun god is speaking to Manu. Manu is speaking to King Ikshvaku, who is the first king of the earth in the solar dynasty in which Lord Ramachandra appeared, and so forth through the disciplic succession. So, however, by the time of Dwapara Yoga, when Krishna appeared, the disciplic succession was broken. So the Lord said to Arjuna, Sakalina ha yoganasta parantapa. In course of time, that disciplic succession has now broken. Therefore, I make again you, or I'm going to reestablish this succession by you becoming my disciple and then furthering the correct understanding of the truth. So therefore, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, again, but this time to Arjuna. So, Arjuna has accepted Krishna as a spiritual master in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And in the beginning of the chapter, it says, Sisyas teham sadimam tvam prapanam. He says that I'm confused, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't see any way that I can figure it out on my own. Therefore, I'm surrendering unto you, Krishna. Please accept me as your disciple and instruct me. He says, now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So long we are talking as friends. So far, Arjuna tells Krishna, up until the beginning of the second chapter, we have spoken as friends. But now I surrender myself to you, my spiritual master, Krishna. So therefore, Krishna begins speaking to Arjuna on the platform of spiritual master and not simply as a friend. And Prabhupada says, so we should note that perfect spiritual master, or the perfect spiritual master, is Krishna. He's the original spiritual master of everyone. And anyone who is following the principles as Krishna has spoken or enunciated, he or she can become a representative of Krishna. And the teacher is Krishna and Arjuna is the student. Similarly, as the spiritual master is the representative of Krishna, similarly, a student must also be the representative of Arjuna. Then Bhagavad Gita discussion will be nice. In other words, this transfer of transcendental knowledge will take place if the disciple accepts three attitudes like Arjuna. So that is explained in 4th chapter, 34th verse, where Krishna tells Arjuna that he should be pranipat, tena, paripasnena, and sevaya. He should be submissive, he should ask important questions, and he should offer service. Those three attitudes creates a favorable atmosphere for questions and answers. So, what is Arjuna's position exactly, Prabhupada says? You'll find in this chapter, in the 10th chapter, which we are now just beginning. He says, Sarvam etad ritan manye yanman vadasi keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidur deva nadanava. He says in 10th chapter, 14th verse, O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the gods nor the demons, O Lord, know your personality. So here, this is in the 10th chapter, 14th verse, but in the 4th chapter, 34th verse, Krishna says, Tat vidi paripatena paripasnena sevaya budeksyami te jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshanaha. That just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have, or the self-realized souls have seen the truth. Okay, so there, those three attitudes, submissiveness, important questions, and service, are prerequisites of the disciple so that there can be a fruitful and substantive exchange of questions and answers. But however, also there were more qualifications of the disciple, where it says, Bhaktosi me sakacheti rahasyam hiyatad uttamam, that one must be Krishna's friend and one must be Krishna's devotee, and later on one must be anasuya, not envious of the Lord. Okay, now if this happens, then the discussion takes place, there are questions, there are answers, and then yajgyatva na punar mohan evam yas yasi pandava yena bhutani sesani drakshasi atmani atomayi. So Krishna says that having obtained real knowledge, the disciple, having obtained real knowledge from the bona fide self-realized soul or spiritual master, you will never fall again into such illusion. What was his illusion? Well, he says, look, I'm confused. I don't know what I'm doing, and I need your help. I've lost all composure because of my mental weakness. I'm asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Krishna says that one will never fall again into such illusion, having obtained real knowledge as opposed to speculative so-called knowledge from a bona fide spiritual master, a self-realized soul. Because by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. In other words, we all belong to Krishna. Everything we have is coming from Krishna. This body is Krishna's inferior spiritual energy. The soul in the body, that's Krishna's superior energy. The jivatma, which is in a marginal position. We can either choose to obey Krishna or choose to disobey Krishna. But both ways, we still remain dependent on Krishna. We can't do anything without the help of Krishna. In order to disobey Krishna and engage in sinful activities, we have to forget Krishna. But only Krishna can help us forget. He says, Sarva Shichaham Hridi Sanivistu Matak Smriti Jnanam Apahanam Cha. He says that I'm in the heart of everyone, and from me come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So, in order to forget Krishna, we need Krishna's help. And then he helps us, puts us into complete illusion, and then we engage in sinful activity and become even more downtrodden and more frustrated and more harassed by the modes of material nature and the struggle for existence, and tragedies occur, and we feel great frustration, and we also lament, and we're struggling all the time, right? So, but if we say, wait a minute, that's enough, I can't take this anymore, and like Arjuna, who says, look, I'm confused, I don't know what I'm doing, I've lost all composure because of this mental weakness that I have, therefore I should go to a representative, a bona fide representative of Krishna, and get help, and surrender unto that person, and ask significant questions to get answers. Why am I suffering? Where did I come from? What is the goal of life? How do I achieve that goal? And so forth. Then we see that suffering, lamentation, struggling in life, and frustration, that is all given to us so that we come to the realization that I must no longer be whimsical, I must no longer desire things that are not actually good for me. By desiring things, Jai Shishirada Nilamadava Ki Jai. By desiring so many things that I thought were good for me, but it turned out that they weren't good for me, and that means I didn't really know what I was doing. Therefore, I need help. I thought I have a PhD, I have a nice car, I got a nice house, but I'm lamenting for things I've lost. I'm struggling to obtain more things or get things back that I've lost, and I'm frustrated. So therefore, obviously I've made many mistakes in my life, and now I should find a bona fide spiritual master and clear away all these obstacles to my becoming peaceful, prosperous, and happy. Krishna wants everyone to be peaceful, prosperous, and happy, as we read earlier in Prabhupada's lecture. So, now Arjuna says, Sarva, in the 10th chapter and 14th verse, he says, Sarva mitadritan manye yanman badasikeshava nahite bhagavan vyaktin vidur deva nadanava. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the gods or the demons, O Lord, know thy personality. So now Arjuna has cleared away all his doubts by hearing Krishna's answers to all his questions. And now he says that whatever you tell me now, Krishna, I accept as the truth. So he doesn't have any more doubts. He's convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he can see that very few people understand Krishna. And he realizes how fortunate he is. My dear Krishna, whatever you are speaking, I accept it. So that should be the process of understanding Krishna, or Bhagavad-Gita. Not that I don't like this, so I'll reject this portion. I like this part, therefore I'll accept this part. This sort of studying Bhagavad-Gita is useless. It's nonsense. Sarvam itadritam manye. Whatever you have said, Krishna, I accept it. That is Krishna consciousness. Similarly, a teacher of Bhagavad-Gita should be a representative of Krishna. Representative of Krishna means a confidential devotee, unalloyed devotee of Krishna. So Arjuna, he accepted Krishna as he is, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The student also should be like that. Then the study of Bhagavad Gita is perfect. Otherwise, it is useless, waste of time. In other words, if you read Bhagavad Gita without having confidence that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you will not understand anything. If you want to read it and understand it, at least theoretically, even if you don't believe it now, but at least theoretically, while you're reading it, you should accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then you can begin to understand it. Because if he's not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it's just another opinion that you're getting. It's and any opinion from a mundane person is not the absolute truth. So you're not going to be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. So here, in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, let's see where he says that. He says, introduction, what page is it? Right in the beginning of the introduction, Prabhupada writes, he says, therefore Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. One should not think that he is equal to Krishna, nor should he think that Krishna is an ordinary personality or even a very great personality. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So according to the statements of Bhagavad Gita or statements of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should at least theoretically accept Shri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and with that submissive spirit, we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita because it is a great mystery. So, most people who are outside of the association of genuine devotees, they'll read Bhagavad Gita with the attitude that, look, this is just another book, and I'll interpret it in my own way, I'll understand it in my own way. I don't have to get into some rigid, organized religion. I don't believe in organized. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. That's the new buzzword in modern society. And therefore, I'll read it from a empirical way, and I'll judge it based on my own understanding. And I can interpret it any way I want. Well, you'll never understand Bhagavad Gita then. Impossible. However, here Prabhupada is explaining, the person who's trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, like Arjuna, should at least theoretically accept Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And with that submissive spirit, he can understand the Bhagavad Gita. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita because it is a great mystery. Just what is the Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the ignorance of material existence. Every man is in difficulty in so many ways, as Arjuna was in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna surrendered unto Sri Krishna, and consequently this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna, but every one of us is full of anxieties because of this material existence. Our very existence is in the atmosphere of non-existence. Actually, we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our existence is eternal, but somehow or other, we are put into asat. Asat refers to that which does not exist. So, asat means what is not eternal. So this body is not eternal. So he's saying we are existing in the atmosphere of non-existence. That means that we have an eternal soul that is entrapped in a temporary body. And because of that entrapment, we falsely identify ourselves with the body and forget that we have an eternal soul. And therefore, whatever happens to the body affects us because of that false attachment. Just like, let's say you have a brand new Tesla, and as you drive out of the Tesla company, some guy in a rainbow-colored old VW van runs into you and seriously damages your brand new car. And you get out and you say, why did you do this? I just bought this car. I just drove out of the dealership and you ran into me like this. Show me your insurance. And the guy says, oh well, dude, you know, I just smoke marijuana and I don't have any insurance. So the person goes crazy, you know, and they start choking the guy. Now, wait a minute. Did something happen to the person? No. It's the car that got damaged. Nothing happened to the driver of the car. But they're so attached to the car that it pained them so bad that they wanted to kill the person that ran into them. Yeah, because he doesn't have insurance, he's a hippie, he smokes marijuana, who knows what. So here we see that by falsely identifying with something temporary, we basically act in crazy ways. Whatever happens to that temporary thing that we're attached to affects us. Although we have a soul that's eternal, that it's not subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. But we ignore the soul and just think that we are the body. So this is the problem that we're faced with. And how can we overcome this problem? Only by regularly hearing Bhagavad Gita, regularly hearing Krishna's words. So Arjuna says, my dear Krishna, whatever you are speaking, I accept. So that should be the process of understanding Krishna, or Bhagavad Gita. Not that I don't like this part, so I'll reject this. But I like this part, so I'll accept that. This sort of studying Bhagavad Gita is useless. It's nonsense. Sarvam yatadritam manye, O Krishna, whatever you have said, I accept it. That is the proper way. Similarly, a teacher of Bhagavad Gita should be a representative of Krishna. Representative of Krishna means a confidential devotee, unalloyed devotee of Krishna. The same thing. He also accepted Krishna as his guru. The student also should be like that. Then the study of Bhagavad Gita is perfect. Otherwise, it is useless waste of time. There's a nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said, Satam prasangam mamavirya samvido bhavanti hitkarna rasayana kata tajjosanad asvapavarga vartamani shradaratir bhaktir anukramishyati. And Srimad Bhagavatam 3:25-25. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. So this verse seems to put the bar very high on what is devotional service. And in a sense, what we're doing now is not exactly pure devotional service. However, we can attain that exalted stage by regularly hearing, and it says here, in the association of pure devotees, discussion of pastimes and activities of Supreme Personality God is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. So, association of pure devotees. 2, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality Godhead, which should be pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. 3, by cultivating this knowledge. So when you cultivate something, you protect it, you nurture it, you grow it. Right? So by cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation. So this cultivating is the regular hearing and chanting and following the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness in the association of devotees. That's what cultivating means. Then, thereafter, one is freed. Freed from what? The influence of the modes of material nature, from lamentation and hankering and frustration and struggling. One is freed. And his attraction becomes fixed. That is, we don't deviate at all from always being engaged in devotional service. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. So what is that? Real devotion, savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhaktir hoksije ahitaki pratihata vihatmasu prasidati. That one can attain pure love of the Lord by undivided devotional service that has no material motivation, no speculation, and no vacation. No speculation, no vacation, and no material motive. The only motive is to please Krishna. So that is the definition of pure love of the Lord. And when devotional service is rendered with that pure love, then real devotion begins, and one is freed from all these negative things. So if anyone wants to understand the spiritual science or the science of Krishna, then he should associate himself with the satam, those who are pure devotees. Those who are pure devotees, satam prasangat, when discussions take place between pure devotees, then the potency of spiritual knowledge, as they are depicted in the scriptures and sacred books, they become revealed. This is the most important statement here. The potency of spiritual knowledge, as it is depicted in the scriptures and sacred books, becomes revealed. On the other hand, simply armchair, meaning to say mental speculators discussing Bhagavad-Gita, is useless, futile. Here it is stated that satam prasangam mamavirya samido bhavanti hitkarna rasaya naha. If it is discussed in the association of pure devotees, then the potency of that spiritual language will be revealed. It will be revealed. So therefore in the Vedic literatures, Sruta Upanishad, it says, Yasha Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tata Kuru Tasyate Katitahi Artak Prakasante Mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith, meaning complete faith, in both the Lord and the bona fide spiritual master, are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So, if we have complete faith in Guru and Krishna, and we act according to the rules and regulations, and we're patient, and Krishna reveals to us this knowledge. It is not learned, it is revealed. That means that you will never forget it. Just like once Narada Muni saw the Lord, the rest of his life he never forgot. Once Prahlad Maharaj saw the Lord, Nrsimhadev, he never forgot. And therefore he always kept himself in Krishna consciousness. The Dhruva Maharaj saw the Lord once when he was a young boy. He never forgot the Lord. And he always remained in Krishna consciousness. And Prahlad Maharaj also. So therefore, one develops complete faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master. So let's say Prahlad Maharaj's spiritual master and Dhruva Maharaj's spiritual master were both Narada Muni. So they have complete faith in Narada and they have complete faith in Krishna. So therefore Krishna, seeing that, reveals the spiritual knowledge to his pure devotees like Prahlada and Dhruva Maharaj. It is said that one who has got firm faith in God and similar faith in God's representative, Yasya Devi Parabhakti, Devi means God, Yasya Devi Parabhaktir, Yata Devi Tata Guru, and Guru means spiritual master. Spiritual master means a perfect devotee of God. His spiritual master, Tasyaite Katita Hi Artaha. So all this, I mean to say, import of the Vedic language will be revealed to him. We cannot understand Vedas simply by academic qualification. We must have the qualification of becoming a devotee of the Supreme Lord and his representative, the spiritual master, or the saintly persons. These are recommended in all Vedic scriptures. So the idea, I'll do it on my own, it's nonsense. It's impossible. We're not going to be able to do it on our own. We have to have the help of bona fide devotees in the disciplic succession with the proper understanding of Bhagavad-Gita. Similarly, here it's stated by the Supreme Lord that because you have become my dear friend, O Arjuna, we have to cultivate such practice in Krishna consciousness that we become dear to God. My spiritual master used to say, this is Prabhupada speaking, you do not try to see God, just act in such a way that God will see you. Just try to understand. This is very nice. If I want to see God and I make God my order supplier, that please come and I'll see you, so God is not so small that he at once comes when he is called. No. We have to qualify ourselves. Therefore, by your qualification, God will himself come and see you. So this is not a cheap thing. This is a serious process. We have to be extremely serious to advance in this process of Krishna consciousness. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, he went to the forest to undergo severe penances to see God. But God came to see him. Or when he saw God, then God asked, what do you want? What benediction do you want? I shall give you. And then Dhruva Maharaj, a small boy, 5 years old, he said, Swamim Kritartos mi varam na yache. That is, when he was being blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dhruva Maharaj said, Oh my Lord, because I was seeking an opulent material position, I was performing severe types of penance and austerity. Now I have gotten you, who are very difficult even for the great demigods to achieve, saintly persons and kings. I was searching after a piece of glass, but instead I have found a most valuable jewel. Therefore, I am so satisfied that I do not wish to ask any other benediction from you. This is Krishna consciousness. Now I am so satisfied that I have nothing to ask from you. So one who sees, one who can perceive God, he has no more demand because he's transcendental to all these material demands. So long we are in the material sense, or so long we are in material consciousness, we are always dissatisfied. Na abhava vidyate sata, na sato vidyate bhava. Na sate vidyate bhava. Asat. Asat means the circumstances which will not continue. Everything, any circumstance of this material world is temporary. Suppose I'm very happy, then your happiness is temporary. Suppose you think that I am very sorry, or I am in distress, that will also not exist forever. Just like seasonal changes. So, this is called duality. You are feeling happy or miserable. We are feeling cold and heat. Everything duality. But these things are coming and going. So when one is transcendental, in a transcendental position, he is above duality. He is in the absolute. So therefore it says, it says, second chapter, 14th verse says, na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhava vidyate sata, ubayor api dristo natas, tvanayos tatvadarsapi. Those who are seers of truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there's no endurance. And of the eternal, the soul, there's no change, or there's no, in other words, there's no end to it. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So, one thing is called sat, that is what is eternal, and the other thing is called asat, what is temporary. So the devotees, so those who occupy themselves with temporary things, they're always dissatisfied and frustrated. Those who occupy themselves with eternal things are never dissatisfied. They're always satisfied. So if we're happy in this world because we have material success, that will be accompanied by misery and defeat. Because nothing is eternal in the material world. However, if we associate with spiritual things that are eternal, we'll never be dissatisfied, we'll never be frustrated. So that is the absolute stage. If we want to go to that absolute stage, then this is the process. This is the process, Krishna consciousness. As we develop, so Krishna is within everyone, the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Paramatma. He's seated in everyone's heart. And as we become purified, as we become sincere, so all the dictation will come from within, and he will show you the path which, following, you shall be happy, prosperous, and at the end, by quitting this body, you shall reach the supreme abode of Krishna. There you go. That's what's going to. That's a description of what happens when you become Krishna conscious. All these have been discussed in the last chapters, 8th chapter, 7th chapter. Now Krishna says, Name vidu suragana, prabhavana maharsaya, hamadir hidevana maharsinam sarvasaha. 10th chapter, 2nd verse. I am the self, O Gudakesha, O Arjuna, conqueror of sleep, seated in the hearts of all creatures. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Now he says that nobody knows me. Lord Krishna says, nobody knows me. Name vidu suragana. Suragana means the demigods. Those who are in the higher planets, they are called demigods. Suragana. Name vidu suragana prabhavam. My influence, or my activities, my power, my extensions, my expansions, everything. Prabhavam na maharsaya. Maharsaya means great sages. Maha Rishaya. Maha, great, Rishi, sages. They also do not know. What they do not know, now, aham adirhi devanam. I am the original person of all the demigods, and maharsinam chasarvasaha. I am the original person of all the rishis, or great sages. Now suppose we have some forefather 10 generations before us, so we do not know many things about our forefather. We may hear something by parampara system or in the family history that our 10th generation before there was one forefather, so even we do not know him. So from Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so many generations. In the beginning of this generation, the first beginning, Brahma was created. And Brahma, so many millions and millions of years before Brahma was created. So what do we know about Brahma and the demigods? So practically we do not know anything about God. It is not possible. Our teeny or tiny brain cannot approach such extensiveness. I mean to say, foremost platform where we can understand God. And Srimad Bhagavatam also it says, Atak Shri Krishna Nama Adi Nabhavet Gayam Indriya. Sevan Mukhehi Jiva Ado Swayam Eva Spurat Yada. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy names and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. Okay, so there's still a couple pages, so we'll wait and finish this Friday. So tomorrow night we have Istagosi, and maybe we'll have time for Srimad Bhagavatam class. And this we'll finish Friday night. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Are there any questions? No questions? No answers. So, Srimad Bhagavad-Gita Grantaraj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah, you can have it. You can have it. Oh, you can keep it. Yeah. You're welcome. We have some other copies here, so it's okay. So we still have some more to cover. Haribol.
complete contradictions also come clear and visible. We need to show progress. Very good.